You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Welcome back to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Why am I saying that multiple times? Well, it's because I want to welcome you guys back. I understand that there are plenty of choices. You guys could be, watching Bad Bunny, be rehearsing right now, for the Super Bowl show, or Kid Rock. I got to tell you, man, the controversy. I got to tell you, I'm watching what's happening as it pertains to Super Bowl. I mean, Super Bowl is as American as American pie. That's how I look at it. And Super Bowl is supposed to be where we unite, where we have fun. And I got to tell you, I mean, it's almost like people want to make Super Bowl this big point of contention and this big divide. What somebody asked me, what Super Bowl halftime show are you going to watch? Now, there's two. Yeah, apparently there's Bad Bunny, and then there's going to be the alternative. I pee during the halftime show. I don't really watch the halftime show. If I don't, I mean, I might, if there's good music, yes. I've been very disappointed at the last few halftime shows. I don't watch Super Bowl for the halftime show. I'm pretty adamant about that. I understand that we've had Beyonce and we've had, now I watch the Star Spangled Banner. I love the Star Spangled Banner. I love hearing the national anthem. And usually whoever is going to be singing the Star Spangled Banner, I mean, they're going to kill it. It's going to be awesome. So I do always like to watch that, but I don't watch football for the halftime show. I don't. Now, I understand you need entertainment, but that's where I pee. That's where I get more food. That's where I check my messages and check my emails, because Super Bowl is such a long day. I mean, we're going from 1 to 6, 7. That's a lot of hours to be away from my tech. I look at how Americans. So this is Super Bowl 60. Really excited. We've got the Patriots and the Seahawks, and it's kind of unique because everybody expected they would either be Chiefs or Eagles or Bills, and then all of a sudden it's the Patriots. Wow, Seahawks, they're good again. And you're like, wow, that was kind of a surprise. So I'm really excited because we've kind of had underdogs now throughout it was always dominated by the Chiefs, and I was getting sick of the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs, but I was getting sick of them. And so it's nice to see underdog teams now be able to get some glory, and I'm really excited. Even though, yes, I understand the Patriots were not the underdogs under Tom Brady, but after Tom Brady left, we didn't hear much about them. But the question I have is, do we take football too seriously, or do we not take it as serious enough? Now, I watch these games, and I see people in the crowds, half naked, freezing, painted, crying when their team isn't doing well. And I love having passion for something. I love the idea of fans and being there to support your multi-million-dollar athletes, but is it really worth the crying and the tearing and is it really worth the fights? Now, most of us take football for what it's worth, and we understand that if there are family members who are not Dallas Cowboy fans, it's okay. Just get them a psychiatrist. That's okay. I understand that some of them do not want to be Dallas Cowboy fans. We all don't have to support the same team. That's okay. But to see the divide that people are having, and so one of the things that is being brought up as to why we might be taking football a little too seriously is there is a huge war brewing as it pertains to Bad Bunny. Now, I don't know much about Bad Bunny's music. I like Puerto Ricans. I have Puerto Ricans in the family. I don't know. I mean, yeah, he could be the most amazing entertainer, but people are very protective about politics, and they feel that Bad Bunny is going to get political. Now, I agree to keep politics out of football, but that's not what entertainers do. Entertainers bring politics in, and they feel like it's their duty. It feels like they're supposed to bring it up. And so now people are, people are discussing, do we boycott, the Super Bowl? Do we watch an alternative show? Guys, it's football. Let's just watch some football. Let's just eat some good food. Let's just have fun. Now, some of us are making bets. Some of us are. I do have the medical calculations. This was a tough one. Tomorrow, I will tell you what the medical calculations are showing as to who's going to win tomorrow. But I'll do that tomorrow. But, I think football, it's fine to love it, to be passionate about it like I am. But when you start to notice that you're going to be depressed, and I'm already starting to feel that, I'm like, what happens at 7 p.m. Sunday night? And I'll go on Facebook going, well, now what? And they go, well, we got hockey, Dahlia. I mean, there's Major League Baseball. I'm like, yeah, that just doesn't scratch the itch. Okay, I want football. Now, fortunately, basketball. I'm really into basketball now. So I'm watching that. But when you have people panic, like, what are we going to do? There's no football. Or maybe we are taking it a little bit too seriously. You take something too seriously when it isn't providing pleasure, but providing angst. And if you're getting angst as it relates to football or anything else, then you need to kind of stop and go, what am I doing here? Same thing with a relationship. You're going to have fights in a relationship. There'll be ups and downs. But does that relationship with that person give you pleasure? Are you happy more days than not? And if you're finding that, you're not happy on some days, or you're depressed, or you're struggling, or you're fighting with others, well, then no, there's no value. That's not the value. You need to have value. Life is too short. You need to spend time with people you really want to spend time with, or who provide value. And I'm not saying you get something out of it, but in terms of you becoming a better person, you being happy. So do we take football too seriously? At times, I don't mind being passionate, but if people are going to be fighting over this, or this halftime show, I think we all need to take a step back and go, guys, we're Americans first. Let's just watch the football, keep the politics out. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away. Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
In many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
And we're back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So Nancy Guthrie's family, Savannah Guthrie, Today host, and her family have pleaded now with the public and are pleading for their mom to come home. As you know, Nancy Guthrie was reported missing on February 1st. She missed her 11 a.m. church service in Tucson, Arizona, after going out to dinner the night before with family. She's 84 years old. Her son-in-law dropped her off at home after a family meal. And then when she failed to attend church the next morning, the family grew worried, alerted authorities. There was blood at the front door, evidence of forced entry, the camera removed. And it has caused now a major manhunt. And Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie made an emotional appeal for her mother's safe return. There has been a suggestion that the kidnapper might be somebody that the family knows. In an Instagram post, alongside with her siblings, Savannah described her mother as funny, spunky, and clever. She has grandchildren who adore her, a crowd around her, cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see. And Savannah's sister Annie also made a heartfelt plea for her mother's return, said, "We are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you." Just so sad. And a source speaking to Daily Mail revealed that she was a congregant of a church, for 30 years, and had her not going to church was something that was sadly unique. She had gone, I guess, through Zoom, had attended church by Zoom, and I guess on Zoom they could tell if somebody logs in or not. And not seeing her log in was an alert. And good for the church to be on top of that. If she does Zoom attendance and they saw that she didn't sign in, good for them for being on top of that and being aware. I mean, it's a big church from what we understand. But we are being told that there might be a little bit more information, an anonymous tip. And we don't have that information yet. I believe there is going to be the sheriff speaking in a few minutes on this. I've heard from people who say, look, they feel bad for Nancy Guthrie and they wish they were found. But is this sort of manpower also available for everybody else that has lost their family members? And it's not easy. It's not. I mean, I don't want to see anybody missing. I want to see all hands on deck. But we do sadly have multiple individuals who have been abducted and are missing, and I cannot imagine what the family is going through. Now, and people are surmising that maybe this is because Savannah Guthrie is in the public eye. Was her mom targeted? Was it somebody who comes to the house, somebody who cleans, somebody who takes care of her? Is it somebody who knew that she was living alone? It's interesting because, as an adult, I like my space. I don't want my kids feeling like I have to live with them. Now, I want them to have their own lives. We've always, when I grew up, always had grandparents live with us because they couldn't afford to have their own places. We just all piled into the same house. That we couldn't afford anything different. But nowadays the people are kind of separate from their families, and they're like, I don't want to do that to my kids. My kids don't want me living with them. I couldn't have mom live with me, be across the street but there's, safety in numbers. And I wonder, if I was 84, would I want to live in a big house by myself? Would I feel safe? We assume that the average person doesn't want to bother you, doesn't want you, doesn't go into your business. But all eyes have been kind of on this case because why would somebody abduct an 84-year-old woman? Why would there be blood? I know obviously, her mom probably could have packed a punch and struggled, But you know what? If somebody was abducting her for money, did they have to injure her? Why was there blood? I mean, was this somebody with complete mental illness that just wanted to hurt an innocent older, senior citizen? It's very, very confusing. Plus, it sounds like she is on medications that she needs to stay alive, and if she doesn't have those medications, it's starting to be it's obviously very, very concerning. And so, we live in a society now where the families don't usually all live together. They don't take care of each other. They don't, I have a family that's very dysfunctional. None of the kids wanted anything to do with the parents, and the parents, not my nuclear family, but my extended family. Parents caused harm to them, so they have to protect themselves and be away from them. And just everybody's apart, and you not the safest situation to be in. I mean, families used to treat each other well. Maybe not. Maybe families were always dysfunctional, but there were duties, and there was benefits to being together, and there was some sort of arrangement made where people could work together and live together, and I mean, but nowadays you hear of family members abduct their kids or grandkids, or hurt their children, or hurt their grandkids, or and so people are choosing to be separate. I'm not saying that's what happened in the Guthrie's case, but what I'm saying is, when you look at your own family situation, it's not the safest situation. We have family members completely diasporaed, and if it wasn't for my nuclear family, I'm in touch with my nephews and all that, and I've been the one in the family that has always tried to keep connection, even though I understand how the family kind of is happy doing their own thing and being away from, because I was the one that was closest to my mom, taking care of my mom, so other family members needed that separation because they didn't want to be near my mom. And I love my mom, but my mom and them had a lot of history, and to feel protected, they needed to be away from her. And so I understood why they kept that separation from me. And then, I recently decided to, take a little break from the family as well, finding that it was just too much drama and chaos. And I'm embarrassed to say we don't have the ideal family dynamics that provide the most protection for everybody involved. And so we're one of those families where family members live alone or are separate. And I don't like the idea of somebody living alone. Me, I've lived alone. I have my husband now and all that, but I was fine, and I lived with roommates. But am I going to want to be 84 years old and live alone? I don't know. And you would think, well, it's fine. Nobody bothers you. Nobody cares about you. You have security. You have like an alarm system. That's not enough. And I think this case reminds us that we all could be vulnerable. And then on top of that, allowing people into your home. We have, people who we trust as it pertains to, those who do work, around the house, or, but, I hear from a lot of people, they don't have, cleaning ladies, and we don't have, we do our own cleaning. We do our own, a lot of our own work, not because we don't trust people in the house. I just kind of feel odd about somebody else cleaning our mess. I think, I could clean. I don't need somebody. Yeah, I just kind of just don't feel right about that. I'm like, to have somebody clean our mess. I'll clean our mess. I just don't, but people, unfortunately, of that age group they do need a housekeeper. They do need, somebody to come in and do, sometimes carpentry work or mechanics or fix it type work. And they, like the rent a husband. I love that idea of rent a husband. And, if you're out of state or you're across the country, how comfortable are you with that? And a lot of older individuals do like to live alone. They're like, I don't want to have to, be in one of your rooms or feel like I'm a third wheel. I want to have that independence. But there's a lot of individuals that don't want to live alone. They're scared. And I see that. I hear from patients who say, I want to live with my children, but they don't want me living with them. Well, then the other option is assisted living or a nursing home, and it's a conversation that many of us don't like to have because it's not an easy conversation, but I suggest you do. If you have a family member that doesn't feel safe, you need to talk to them, and you need to make sure that they are in a safe environment. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme. The solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I'm getting up there in age. I'm middle age. I feel a lot older than I am. I tell you, I think it's because of my joints. I think it's because I get tired. I think it's because I'm getting less patient than I used to be. And years ago, I believe I was on air, so it had to have been within the last 15 years. There was an article where some scientists said that we have somebody on this earth right now who will live till 150. That somebody right now on this earth is going to live till 150. Our life expectancy has gone up overall. Where we're now in the high 70s, early 80s for women and men. It dropped with COVID and the fentanyl crisis. How we come up with life expectancy is we look at the average age that people live. We don't look at those who go to 80 and 90 and then we average them. What we do is we look at the gamut of everybody. And so in the olden days, when you had a bunch of kids die of childhood illnesses before vaccines, the average or the life expectancy was in your 40s or 50s. And it was because we had a lot of kids that died. So that's how they came up with the average. But you definitely had people in the olden days live till they were 50, 60, 70. That did happen in the 1700s, 1800s. It happens more often now. So our life expectancy, years ago, I had predicted that we are going to be well into the 80s by the year 2020. And then after COVID and the fentanyl crisis, numbers got skewed, but they're going back up. And again, we hear from, medical experts saying, yeah, living till 150 is going to be a reality. I believe we have here longevity expert and former professor of human genetics and biostatistics at the University of UCLA. His name is, I apologize, Dr. Steve Horvath. And he says 150 is a very fashionable number now. I have no doubt it will happen, no question. He's a principal investigator at the Altos Labs Cambridge Institute of Science in the UK. He made this prediction in a feature with Time magazine. And In the early 2010s, he created the first widely used aging clock, which was a method for estimating biological age, according to Fox News, by measuring molecular changes in cells. And while the clock incorporated saliva data, it proved reliable across multiple issues: blood, skin, and other organs. And so he developed other biological aging clocks, including models shown in studies to be strong predictors of mortality risk. And he says, I felt that it was important to develop an aging clock to advance scientific inquiry in the field of longevity. And so we've had patients that have lived, or we've had people that have lived well into 120 years old. In fact, let me see who now the oldest person is, because we just had a unfortunate change of that. As of August 2025, we're being told that it's Ethel Caterham of the UK. She is 116 years old, born in 1909. So Ethel is now the oldest living individual, 116, and we've had people live till 120. So is 150 a reality? Probably. Are we ready for it? Oh, hell no. No, we're not. We are in no way prepared. So we talk about it. We have these media articles. You have commentators on the news saying, oh, yes, we're going to live till 150 one day. We have people right now who live till 150. Yay. Are we ready? Are we prepared? No. We don't even know how to take care of our 65-year-old seniors. We don't even have a mechanism in place to take care of our, homeless veterans. We're not ready. And I think we need to be. Now, how do you get ready? How do you get ready for a society that is aging older than, we're expecting, seniors to be 65 and 70 and some of them in their 80s, not a lot of them in their 90s. But already you could see how politicians are working and all that. They're saying, well, let's cap out the age at where somebody could be in political office. Let's just end it randomly at 74. I forgot what Rahm Emanuel, his random number, he said. And you're already seeing people want to start to cap and limit because they're seeing resources are thin. The resources are less. And the sooner society makes the older population less relevant, sadly, the sooner they get to reallocate resources. And it's a dangerous situation. And so here I am as a physician, really excited that we can add longevity and do knee replacements and shoulder replacements and prevent cancer and do organ transplants. It's an exciting field of medicine. And, I having grandparents who died in their 60s, imagine if they were still with us in the wisdom. I would love to see longevity in our family members and in our friends and neighbors. But society doesn't want that. Society is not ready. Society doesn't have the money. Right now, our mismanagement of funds, at the start, our society was supposed to take care of those who were sick and couldn't work and those who were too old to work, those who were incapable of working. And it was far and few between. The average person, had abilities to work and to support themselves. And then unfortunately, we had the Great Depression and all that. And so we had to come up with reforms to ensure that in case they couldn't work, there was a safety net. So people wouldn't kill themselves and starve to death. But once the, post-World War II allowed there to be industry in the 50s and all that, get back to work and support yourself so that whatever money, we need for older individuals or sick individuals, there's enough of to help, keep them safe, keep them healthy, and not cause them to be a burden on society. Somehow, in the last few decades, it has changed to, if you want to apply, you get it. And if you know the system, you could get the money. And we're running out of money. And it's getting kind of dangerous because when I hear the talk about, who gets the money and who doesn't, And do we need to limit benefits? And it makes to me no sense that Medicare wouldn't be covering dental, hearing. Somebody's teeth rots, their mouth rots. That's one of the starts of their demise. You want to fix their teeth. There's just this attitude, and I'm not saying it's malicious, but it's this, we're going to cover less. We're going to cover less. We're going to do less for the older population. And you're seeing a lot of younger, healthier people get the benefits. Now, if these younger individuals are not healthy, that's what the benefits are for. We understand there are some people that have disabilities, and we want to help those individuals. But we have such a huge population of individuals who are healthy, able-bodied. And that's taken away now from those who put in their time, put in their dues, put money into the system, that are now like, okay, I need some help. Okay, I can't live alone. I don't want to be abducted like Nancy Guthrie. I mean, I need some help. I need, this is why I worked, so that there would be benefits when I need them. And now we're having these conversations of, 150, and politicians are like, oh gosh, we could barely pay for our 65-year-olds. So we need to revamp the system and reevaluate the system. There's a lot of criticism over the Trump administration asking able-bodied individuals to work or volunteer or go to school part-time. I don't think that's a bad idea. In fact, when you have a workers' comp injury, we're told get that person back to work, even modified duty, because the longer they don't work, the harder it is for them to get back into the swing of things. But until we reevaluate healthy individuals who could work not working, we're not going to have money.
Looking for an easy read that can actually help secure someone's future? Pick up a copy of Mark Falter's book, Common Sense Income Strategies. For the past 30-plus years, Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. It's not rocket science, it's a pretty easy read. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. Common Sense Income Strategies is available now on Amazon or by calling 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Common Sense Income Strategies by financial fitness show host Mark Falter. Secure your financial future today.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
We're back. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. All right. So I've been asked where I came up with the names of our dogs, of our kids, what prompted those names? Where did I get my name? And I'm glad people care. I think there's much more fascinating topics to talk about, but I want to bring up the idea of names because sometimes you could really screw up as a parent. So apparently my name Dahlia was because my father had a crush on Dahlia Levy, the actress Dahlia Levy. And my mom wasn't a fan of that. I think she called me Dolly. And I liked Dolly Parton and I liked Dolly Madison, but I got made fun of as a kid, about boobs and how I'm not going to be able to see my shoes. And I thought that was really, ridiculous of kids. But I really liked the name Dahlia. I thought Dahlia was exotic. If that's the name my father wanted me to have, then I loved having my name. And because my name was not a very common name, and it's a flower, Dahlia is a flower. When I had my boys, I wanted to name them with unique names. Now it's interesting. I love the idea of naming after a loved one. And like where you have Junior and the third. I think that is fantastic. But, it's interesting because in the Jewish religion, we have Jewish and Christian in our family. But in the Jewish religion, you name after a loved one who passed to keep that memory alive. And so you'll name after a relative that died. And in the Christian Catholic religion, you name after somebody who is currently alive, and then they're the third, they're junior or the third or fourth, etc. And so I'm in love with both of those. And so if I did have a daughter, there was a relative who wasn't named after my grandmother, and her Hebrew name was Rivka Leah. And nobody really named their children after my grandmother. So we have another grandmother named Ruth. And those are names that just aren't, as popular. So we were going to, if we had a daughter, name her Rivy. But we had boys, and I knew we were going to have boys because we ultrasounded right away. And I just love the name. One of my friends came up with the name Stone. I guess Phillips was a news anchor, and he's like, "What about Stone?" I love that name, Stone. And then with the second one, we named him Brock. And, at first my kids, when they were younger, going, why do we have those names? Why aren't they more? But then they've even told me they love that they have unique names. With our pets, that's been an issue. It's interesting because we have a dog where the family still hasn't agreed on the name. One of the dogs, the kids wanted to name her Velociraptor. And that was really difficult to name. And so then, so we didn't name her Velociraptor. And then the other dog, Princess Consuela von Snortia the Chunk. I need a one syllable name when it comes to the dog. And the dog snorts all the time. So I just inadvertently called her Snort. And she responds to that. So her name is Snort. So when we take her to the vet, when we drop her off at the kennel, or the doggy hotel, they're like, "What's her name?" And the kids are like, "Well, it's a Princess Von Consuelo Snortia Von Chunk the Third." And I'm like, just call her Snort. And it's hard to have somebody who, it's obviously not the most loving name, but it's easy. And so, when you come up with a name to name the kids, name the grandkids, name the animal, I didn't realize how much is involved in that because it's a big commitment. And we're trying to change the name. The kids still want to change. We've had the dog now for almost 6 months, and we're still thinking about changing the dog's name. It's just the dog. Yeah, I want to call her Pee Pee House because that's what she's doing. She's going Pee Pee House. But right now it's Snort. And when you do have a new child coming into this world, it's funny how everybody wants to put their say into what the name should be. Okay, whoever is giving birth to that child, let them decide. Now, I understand that there's all these requirements depending on the family. Well, we all have this name incorporated, so you got to incorporate this name, or this person died and we need to honor the name, and we need to, that's a lot of pressure. Not to mention it's a lot of pressure on the kid. I'm really grateful that I love the name I have. But look, isn't there a family where they name their kids Adolf and Ava? After Adolf Hitler and Ava Braun. I mean, really? I mean, you can really screw these kids up. So let whoever's the parents decide. If you think the parents are going to, really mess up the kids' lives, just then you could intervene. But names could always be changed. You could always get an official name change if somebody changes their mind. But, coming up with a name is interesting because we feel like it's not about them. It's about everybody else. It's about the family member you want to honor. It's about the long line of family members who have that name. It's about, I think that's beautiful. But to me, I think when you name a child, it's what does that child mean to you? What does that child? So with Stone, it was very easy for me to name him Stone because he felt like a big boulder in my uterus. I mean, I just felt rock. It was pretty easy for me to identify with that. And I'm not joking. And so to me, this Stone was strong. He lasted through a very dangerous the peri-labor period. He was able, the perinatal period, he was able to, survive and when he almost died. And he's just a stone. He's just a rock, and he's built like a brick poop house. I mean, he is just, and so to me, I just when he was born and beat, it just was perfect. And same thing with Brock. Brock had this flair, this artistic flair about him, but he's also solid and just, he's also a rock to me. And so for me, that was perfect. And so, I've had parents and patients tell me, they named their child. It was something the ex wanted. They don't like the name. They don't think it's right. I would say if you have a child and you don't like the name, leave it up to them. Let them do the name change if that's something they want to do. I know it's been very tricky lately because there's been a lot of discussions, where you're not a boy, you're not a girl, I really feel the child needs to be a part of that conversation. They really do. You also have to be really, really careful with the gender conversations because kids, and I learned this early on, kids always wonder if you are happy with what you got. And my boys asked me, they said, did you always want a girl? You always wanted a girl. I go, no, I didn't. I wanted boys. Like, no, you wanted a girl. I go, no, I didn't. What makes you think that? Well, you're a girl. And I thought you wanted, no, I always wanted a boy. But kids, if they, see you say, well, you don't have to be a boy. You could be a girl. You could be a girl. They're like, why? Is that what you want? Do you want me to be a girl? There was one case where a child felt that, that's what their parents wanted. And they wanted their parents, leave it up to the child. Let the child, grow and decide what's best for them. But, if there is the idea that the name might not be working or the name represents somebody that ended up not being somebody you wanted to name. Like, let's say you name them after a family member, then that family member ends up getting arrested or shooting at the president or whatever. Or you're like, you know what? I don't like the way this thing. It's interesting because we have family who's named Karen, and in our family, and nobody likes the name Karen. So, I do think a name change is fine, but if it means a lot and there's a lot more to that, so put some time, put some thought, and always understand it could always be changed if it has to be. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. there's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.